Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Pivotal Change. I'm your host, Ryan Conn, and we're going to be talking about what we always talk about, which is entrepreneurship, business development, and leadership. We want to help our viewers learn the tools and the tricks and the methods that are going to help them make that pivotal change to launch their success. So you might notice my background is a little different. Right here, I have the world famous Sphere, and I am on location in Las Vegas doing some other events as well. So what I want to talk about is relevant to the context at hand. I want to talk about gambling. And you may ask, how does gambling translate into the business realm, entrepreneurship, and leadership? Well, it very much does, and here's how. When you gamble, you can take high risk, medium risk, or low risk gambles. Now, I'm not just going to go out there and advocate that everybody run off to the roulette table. But what I want you to understand is that we probably all know someone, and maybe we are or have been the person that went through the traditional workforce. We went and got our education. We went and we joined at a company or some type of workforce. And we had the idea, or maybe are spending 30 years of our life there just so that we can retire in modest retirement. And there's nothing wrong with that standard dream. But a lot of people, especially the entrepreneur mindset type, they find themselves unfulfilled. And what they did is they played the safe bet. They didn't gamble on the more risky bet, which is to bet on yourself. So that's what I want to talk about for the remainder of this episode, is how to bet on yourself instead of taking that safe, low-risk gamble of entering the traditional workforce, being the American that goes in there and just spends his lifetime saving up for retirement, getting his 2 weeks of vacation every year, and finding a way to develop both your personal and your financial and your time freedom through business leadership, entrepreneurship. Now, that business leadership may come through increasing yourself through the ranks of your company and gaining more time and influence and satisfaction that way, which I highly recommend. I don't want anyone to ever watch this show and feel like they can't get out of being stuck in the same spot. We want to have that change. So the number one way that I impress upon people is get skill development. You can change your skill faster than you can change anything else. You can go and log on to YouTube videos and just spend a week or two sprinting through YouTube videos and online courses for cheap or for free and drive yourself into the next level. You can go take classes that are in the trades at the local community college, or even just apprentice yourself with somebody at a workshop down the street and start learning that skill. If you need to expand in languages, it's very easy to find language teachers and language experts that you can partner yourself with or even pay for their services at a very modest rate. So I want you to stop taking that safe path and making the safe bet, so to speak. I've recently learned how to play the roulette wheel, and I've watched people. I'm a big observer, and I see people spending and putting these chips all over the board, trying to cover their bases so that they just get a little something in return. And when I sat there and I watched, I saw that they would just slowly dwindle, slowly dwindle, slowly dwindle. While there's other people that walk up and they take a large amount of money and just throw it on a single square and hope that it hits. And of course, if it does, it hits big. But then the people that I saw that sat at the table for a while and were really successful hedged their bets, took some risks. They had their lucky numbers or their system that was in place, and they were able to slowly increase their stack of chips over the time. And so that made me think about, how do we get our system? Well, we go in there, and there are a lot of case studies that show a person that can increase their skill before, during, and after their primary position has been chosen, has incredible satisfaction personally, and secondly, has the best opportunity of growth inside the company. So whether you're just starting out, or if you're in middle management, or you're wanting to increase your ownership and bandwidth of the company that you own and expand, skill development is going to be the key. Some of that skill development probably needs to start with relationship building, how to be more articulate, how to be a better teammate through communication, increasing in systems of accountability and checklists. Those are very administrative and a little bit of soft skills, but again, they are skills that can be taught. One of the key messages that I want to do is I want to lead you to independence through the disciplining of yourself. I think if you discipline yourself in those skills, you're going to increase a lot. So learn how to do the next level of a software. Learn how to run the management system. Learn how to do that next series of reports. Learn how to build the next widget in the line at the factory. If I remember when I got my first ever in life promotion, I was in high school working for a landscaping company, and I was a football player and wrestler, so I was fairly strong, and they literally just wanted a grunt, manual labor, to come lift and move all their heavy things and do their projects. Well, I eventually helped out a guy on a job a couple of times installing the irrigation lines and ultimately the irrigation boxes. So I, just by observing and being available and asking questions, got upgraded to the irrigation crew. That was a 50-cent per hour raise. Now, for a 16, 17-year-old kid back in the late 90s, early 2000s, 50-cent raise was pretty impressive. And I was awfully proud of myself, and accidentally discovered that this thing I'm talking about here, increasing your skills, leads to more opportunity. So I became a part of the irrigation crew for the rest of that summer and next summer. And I really enjoyed it, and actually learned a lifelong skill where I can go into my backyard and fix my irrigation without having to call for service every time. Another thing that I want you to do is increase your skills on your mindset. Go listen to podcasts. Go listen to certain influencers that teach you how to think about yourself, how to think about relationships, how to think about situations and scenarios, and how to do analysis of appropriate risks. If you can change your mindset, because if you listen to my 5 M's, it all begins with mindset. So you can actually develop the skill of your mindset. So this is what's really cool. One of the best ways to develop your mindset is to 1, read, and 2, get physically fit. Literally go sign up for a gym membership, or if you have one like most people that you're not using enough, set a schedule. Clear just 30 minutes of your day to go for a run, or just lift a little bit of weights. Do some types of resistance training. Join a yoga class, join a Stairmaster class, do something that increases your physical fitness and your perseverance, because with physical perseverance, mental perseverance automatically attaches itself to it. And if you can do physical things that pushes your body through discomfort, then you will be able to push your mind through discomfort when that tough decision is made, when that awkward scenario occurs. So I want you to look into your physical fitness and your physical health. If you can live longer, live happier, live more of a free and bouncy life, you're also going to find that you develop a skill that you can relate to. And then you're going to be in a network of other people that are more disciplined. If people are willing to show up to the gym 3, 4, 5 days a week, they're probably disciplined in a lot of other areas in their life, like parenting and business and community service. Now, here's one that a lot of people don't think about. Maybe they completely don't relate it to the business world at all, but is absolutely related, and it needs to be focused on, and that is your faith and your spiritual health. This starts with skill. You have to gain knowledge of whatever your faith is. So if you're reading your spiritual text out there, you need to gain knowledge in that text, transform your heart, and develop yourself into a stronger, spiritual, more faithful person. You can go look up statistic after statistic, and one of the least faithful universities is Harvard. And Harvard University just put out a study, I think it was 2022 or 23, in the last year or two, that says people that are devout and faithful are much more successful in their business endeavors and have happier satisfaction in life. So again, find skill set, get yourself educated either through a trade skill or through a business skill like speech and language and communication. Go get yourself physically fit and disciplined in that skillful area. Maybe you pick up a new sport like volleyball or pickleball, and you go out there and get after it. There's networking, relationships, and perseverance that's developed. Then you get yourself the knowledge in your spiritual realm. You become more faithful. You dedicate yourself to serving in that area, and you are going to increase your skills all around. It's really important that you also develop emotionally safe relationships, people that are going to encourage you, people that are going to want you to get out and do things. I know there's a struggle between introverts and extroverts and how much time we give or don't give, but we have to have emotionally regulated relationships. People that aren't going to take you out drinking and partying every weekend, and people that aren't just going to tell you to sit at home and self-care all of the time, because eventually if you don't get out of bed or get off the couch, you turn into that type of potato as well. We don't want couch potatoes. We want physically fit, emotionally fit, educationally fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit people. So that is the skill development that you need to be seeking. So one of the examples is that we have, here's a perfect example. Think about Russell Brand. Russell Brand is enormously successful through various endeavors of musical career, movie career, pod stuff. And then he has become more successful and more satisfied with life from his recent spiritual transformation. And I recommend you go look at him and study how he did that. And so he is now also saying that he has attached himself to more emotionally healthy relationships. So you can then go put the skill development take time to say, what does it take to be a better dad, a better mother, a better child, a better grandparent, and do those things. There are books and webinars and series, and you can develop your skill as a parent. You can develop your skill as a husband or a wife and learn to listen and react and give sympathy and empathy and communicate better. Don't you think you'd be more successful and stuck in a rut if you chose the path of putting emphasis on skill development in marriage, skill development in your spiritual and community outlook, skill development in your physical life, skill development in your emotional life, and of course, point all that at your business and financial success? I think people try to overlook these areas, but it is definitely about time that you begin betting on yourself. So if you look at the lifestyles that people try to live here in Las Vegas, they're all chasing, not all, but most are chasing this glamorous lifestyle. Fancy suites and hotels, fancy clothes, fancy cars and purses and shoes, and people are wanting to wear special watches, and they're trying to set the status, and they're chasing after things that are vain and they're temporary and materialistic. If you instead develop your skills in the area that I have mentioned now in this first segment, you're going to find much more satisfaction in life. You're going to find much more genuine success having built positive, healthy relationships and a successful work culture for you to live your legacy off of and have financial freedom and time freedom. I want everyone to stay tuned. We're about to bring on a very good friend of mine and a guest who has done all of these things very successfully. So sit right there. We're going to go to commercial break and come back with our first guest of the evening. Welcome back from the break, everybody, on Pivotal Change. Once again, I am your host, Ryan Conn, and we are going to continue tonight's episode by bringing on our guest and a very good friend of mine, Ajay Patel. Ajay is a wonderful entrepreneur. He is living the American dream. He is a good friend of mine, and he has really built his way up in the hospitality and services industry. And so we're going to hear a little bit about his journey and his path and his expertise in that exact industry. So Ajay, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I can't wait for the audience to get to hear a little bit about you and what it is you do, because they're going to get a lot of advice from you. And with that being said, I'm going to jump right into these questions. So first, let's start off with, can you just share a little bit about your background and what inspired you to enter the hospitality services industry?
Sure. So I moved in the U.S. in 1995, and the first job that I can find is the hotel, working in the hotels, cleaning all the rooms, laundry, maintenance, cleaning parking lots, and that's the easy way to get in the hotel industry. Just working my way up, and bought my first hotel in 2007.
That is fantastic. So you literally came in, started at the bottom, and worked your way up to buying your first hotel in 2007. So you went from, like you said, cleaning and maintenance to hotel ownership. So let me ask you about that hotel ownership. What was the first major challenge that you faced when you started your hotel business, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Sure. So 2007 when I bought it, and then the economy collapsed if you guys remember, 2008, 9, 10. I went through the same scenario. As soon as I bought the hotel, I was remodeling, put a lot of money in to get it to where my customer is going to appreciate that staying and all that. And then when I was doing that, the economy collapsed, and I was like totally freaked out. But after 2010, the business coming up, and then it just lifted me back up with my hard work.
That is very good. So in that 2007, 2008 collapse, all the way to 2010, when you were kind of clear and your hard work had paid off, tell us just a little bit, what were you doing to survive and make things work during that time of collapse?
Sure. So that time I had, like I said, it's collapsed. I was doing the remodeling for the whole hotels, and just trying to get businesses where it was really hard to get the customers in, walking in the doors, and just keeping all the guest happy, so we can create the recruitment guests from the, or they are all passing through the hotel. I mean, on the exits.
Gotcha. And so you've been talking about the remodel and you want it to make it look better for the guests and more attractive. In your industry, how important is that first impression when the guest pulls onto the property and walks into the lobby? What does that do for their experience and for them being a returning or lifelong member?
Yes, so when the guests entered back in that 2007, 8, 9 period, there was not that much the fund attractions that they booked hotels from like on the online and all that. It's basically all walking in business. But now on days you go in and then you can book your stays like few days before you leave or ahead of the time. But when that time when the customer is walking in, I mean, I really have to work hard that I want to make sure that my customers appreciate all the lobby area and what we recommend, free Wi-Fi, free breakfast, the guest room pictures and all that they will like to stay in their rooms, and then I can earn their businesses.
I love that. So it's comfortable, it's easy feeling. You're removing the stress of having to worry about where to go. Like you said, you're giving them free Wi-Fi. That's pretty important these days. And the free food, like with continental breakfasts and things like that, they don't have to stress or worry or hustle during their busy travels. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, so kind of another thing is, so I'm getting a little piece of it as well, but like the hospitality industry and all of these services here, it's highly competitive. I mean, just in our town alone, we've got literally a row of hotels all lined up right next to each other. So what strategies did you use kind of in the earlier days of your careers to try to stand out?
Sure. So if you remember, my Best Western, it's still only one hotel on the exit 11 in the Paducah. And where all the hotels, restaurants, and basically malls and like things to do where the people like to stay. So I, after 2011, 10, the business lifted up and just saving my tax money and all that. So I start build the construction at a new hotel, La Quinta, which is on exit 4, where the all higher class hotel like Hilton's and Marriott's and IG products, so I can stay competitive with the hotel industry.
I like that a lot. So location was very, very important. All real estate, of course, this company here. So I remember the development, and I remember you building that hotel and reminding myself of like, man, this guy's a genius. He's going to the exact hot spot and being present in the hot spots, in the growing areas, and where the higher level competition are. That raised you up a level as well. Is that right?
That's correct. Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. I love that a lot. So let me ask you this. So we're bouncing back and forth on our timeline a little bit. So when you first started back in 2007, and you can even go back into the 90s when you just entered the hotels in general, but from the 90s to 2007 to here we are in late 2024, what has changed in the industry from when you first started, and what are you doing to adapt to those changes?
So the everyday challenge, there's like we used to do like 1 things a day or 5 things a day, and now you got to do 50 things a day. Now we have to stay alert with all these new technologies. It's coming in, especially all the customers demanding that make sure they get all the service how the other hotels and the brands are providing, and which I just don't wait until my brands tells me like, hey, this is what you got to do to make your customers happy. It's I have to be ahead of the games to make sure that what's my customers needs, where I can make them happy and where I can earn their businesses back, repeat customers. That's what's my goals are.
I really, really like what you're saying. This is the message that I hear so many successful business owners say, is the need to be proactive and the need to be completely aware of what their customers' demands are. So the customers' demands are changing. They want a lot more, like you said, technology-based, online-based conveniences. And so that goes from probably you started when there were physical door keys. And then, of course, we got the electric door keys. And now people just take their cell phones and sign into their rooms. And it just gets more convenient. Tell me a little bit more about how do you hear from your customers and how do you make those changes?
Well, sometimes the customer we have to teach the customer how to use the new technology, and it just makes us life easier. Used to there is a manual key where you open the doors, and then customer can take the keys. Over nowadays, like to save those costs and then stay maintenance free. We installed the new RFID, and then now RFID is changed to the where you can have a UFC key that you can open with your cell phones, and you can order the stuff from your cell phone. You talk to the front desk with your cell phones instead of picking up the hotel phones and walk out. So that's the kind of the technology that we have to teach our customers, that it makes our life easy and their life easy too.
I like that a lot. So the convenience is kind of a two-sided coin. It's obviously convenience for the customer, but as a business owner, it provides more efficiency and more convenience for you and your staff. So let me ask this last question before we cut to the break. So you mentioned about doing more things on the phone and remotely. Was that a large impact from COVID? And what was probably the most significant impact your industry saw from the COVID and making changes there?
So after the COVID, actually the whole industry's change as a hotel industry. We as a hotel industry, it's one of the toughest time that the hotel have seen it in the COVID beside any other businesses. So I would say the restaurants got affected in the beginning after the COVID, but they got it back in. They can deliver the foods and all that, where the hotel room was staying empty because no travelings and all that. And after that times, the lot of things comes up, working from the home, doing this stuff, not people traveling to the office and not traveling, but we have all this plus money that the family was traveling for the like going to the Disney World, going to the oceanfront or anywhere, and then that's the kind of the impact that we have seen. And after end of 21, then it just keep going up and up on our revenue and keep us busy. And during that time, we have to no workers for the cleaning the rooms and all that. So we have to adopt systems that where can we make our own job easy and keep the customers happy. That's so great. The technology was one of the big things that it came in. We worked also, and the brand also worked smart way to adopt a lot of the.
Let me jump in right there, AJ, because we're going to talk a little bit more about the brand and the larger scale things after this break. So AJ, we're going to have you sit right tight, and we're going to bring you right back. And everyone else, stay tuned for more AJ Patel and more about entrepreneurship and the hospitality industry on Pivotal Change. Welcome back. We are here with more Pivotal Change and more AJ Patel talking about the hospitality industry. And we just finished a great conversation about being adaptable and making change and what it's like to get into your industry, work hard, and work your way all the way up into ownership. And that goes great into what we've been talking about in the very early sections of the show. So AJ, I want to keep plugging along because we're always bound by these commercial breaks. But you mentioned about expanding the brand and listening to the brand. So I want to ask you a little bit more about that. You have multiple properties under your management, probably two main properties, but how much does systems and your leadership strategies go into operating those hotels and responding with the brand and the franchise?
Yeah. So, like I said, my first hotel was the Best Western in 2007. And since 2009, I have been a Best Western governor, and still at present I'm a governor for the state of Kentucky. And along with me, there's one more guy in the state of Kentucky. And then this is what gives me opportunity to learn more about the brands, how the brands works with the hoteliers, and what they're trying to do. We support them, and they support us. That's the way it works. And then lately, this AHOA, it's called Asian American Hotel Owner Associations, where I get opportunity to network with so many new entrepreneurs that where we take the ideas from each other and then stay connected. That's where I join in now. I'm a regional director for the state of Kentucky and Tennessee of my regions called Mid-South regions. And I help, as I learn my new stuff and all that, I pass along to all the hoteliers and entrepreneur, and same things. It's work for me that somebody else does it for me.
I love that so much. So part of that strategy was getting more involved with your brand and seeing what the brand has to say and what they have as far as you're looking for mentorship. You're looking for people to teach you tips and tricks on how to become a better hotelier. And then you mentioned the AHOA, the Asian American Hotel Owners Association, and getting in there. And you said that is networking opportunity like crazy. And I know how influential that's been on your situation. And now you sit as a position in that whole community. And I hear you saying that I get mentored I learn something from them. There's this network we can share and we can all get better together. And then you take that home and you share those things with the people that you influence. And it's this passing along effect. Tell me a little bit more about how you actually execute those changes so that everybody stays excellent underneath you.
Yeah, so nowadays, the hotel owner is not that easy. I mean, we get a lot of this human trafficking, and that's one of the biggest crimes going on in the U.S. And we don't know what's going on behind the doors in our hotel rooms. If you see something, if you don't tell, if you don't let the law informants know that we get counted, we get like unbelievable kind of problems that we can run into it. So it is kind of stuff that if I cannot let my locals know or my surrounding people that, hey, make sure we stay active. We cannot just let the stuff happen. If you see, let the law know, officer, police, sheriff, or whoever you need to call and stay active. The other thing is the insurance, which is right now we have a biggest problem. Insurance is it's hard to get the hotel insurance from all the insurance company. They've been start cutting it off, and then we've been fighting for the insurance. That how can we stay insured? Because staying insured, it's a big, because all the kind of the lawsuits and all that's going on in the today's world. Make sure that you are covered and stay protected.
Wow. So you covered two big areas here, and most people probably think they wouldn't be connected, but they are. So one is the awareness, learning about what are the big potential hazards and opportunities in the industry. And you mentioned the hazard of human trafficking. That's something that a lot of people don't want to think about or have to talk about, but it's very real. And unfortunately, it is in the hospitality services all over the place. So teaching people what it is, how to identify it, and how to report it, and how to cooperate with law enforcement can literally save lives. And on the other side of it, it protects you, it protects the brand, and that leads into some of the insurances. And we've had some insurance people on the show before telling about all the changes in the industry. So a lot of business owners are struggling with insurance, but maybe not at the level that you are. So what are you doing to help keep yourself insurable? Do you have to make changes? Do you have to hunt for different insurance companies? What does your industry do to make sure they can maintain their safety and their coverage?
Yeah, so for safety and cover, like we wanted to make sure that we don't just throw any things that you got damage on your hotel, if that's covered under your deductible, let's say if your deductible is $10,000, and if you can get that work done for like $15,000-$20,000, do not put that claims in the insurance, so your insurance don't go higher. But at the same time, with all these hurricane and all that's coming in the ocean fronts, with the damages and all that's going on, it's affecting in the whole all over the United States. Like we are in the mid US, and we don't get that much affected with the tornado or hurricanes or all that stuff, but we still have to suffer for the getting the insured property because it's affect the whole US and especially the hotel industry because it has so many liabilities.
Gotcha. Let me jump in here, AJ, too, because I want to try to squeeze in two more questions. So
Okay.
one, you are a person that clearly influences the hospitality industry. You're going to be aware of the trends and innovations that are going to be shaping the future of hospitality. What do you see as those trends, and how are you bracing for those so that you can stay ahead?
Yeah, so hotel industry has been shifting from the it's been a long time, and it keeps shifting, you know, like things like Airbnb and short-term rental. It's what came in the market where they don't have to follow all the rules and regulations, and with the codes with your property, that how hotel owner has to do it, and just do that. I believe that the hotel industry is just going to be kind of like one of the Uber, like where you don't see taxi as much you used to, and Uber. So hotel industry is kind of just one of those industry that it's going to be affected more. To divert that, we're still coming out, looking for the other way to shifting myself and moving into the other kind of businesses, right? And other my fellow members from around my local or surrounding me, we all just trying to look for some things that where can we jump in on the other kind of businesses.
I like it. So let me ask this question. This will be the last one for the show, but if you're
Sure.
going to give one piece of advice, one key factor that an entrepreneur entering the hospitality hotel service would need to focus on to be successful, what would be your one point for them to concentrate on in the beginning?
Yeah, sure. So you cannot just jump in like if you think about it, that if you are going up on the stairs with the 15 steps, and if you think that you're going to jump on from the first to the 15 and just like one without skipping between, it's not going to happen. If you're going to get in the hospitality industry, you're going to have to learn from the bottoms up. Like you want to make sure that you know how the small maintenance work, how this customer service works, how this financial works, how this franchise world work, and all that. If you need to learn those kind of a small these steps, it's not hard, but it's not that easy either. Just learn from it, and then jump into hospitality. It'd be better. Otherwise, you're gonna just fall in from the 15 steps to the down on the first step.
Well, AJ, let me jump in here because we've got to wrap up this section of the show. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, they wanted to talk to Ajay Patel or stay at one of your properties, what's a good way they could get a hold of you and possibly pick your brain or make you make connection with you?
Sure. My phone number is 229-337-0019. That's my cell phone number. And the easy way to reach me is text message. And I will definitely read through the text message, listen, read it, WhatsApp concerns. And the other way is my email address. It's ajay.patel, Patel, @ahowa.com.
Perfect. AJ, thank you so much for coming on to the show. And everyone else, you sit tight for our final segment of the evening on Pivotal Change. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the final segment of the evening on Pivotal Change. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Conn. And so far, we've had a great evening talking about the right way to gamble, which is to bet on yourself. And then we brought in a person who did just that. He worked his way from the bottom up into the hotel industry, and he did an excellent job getting into ownership and then spanning into multiple properties. And we only heard a taste of all of what he is into. But AJ is a magnificent leader who networks, always keeps himself in the mindset of being mentored and, of course, mentoring the people underneath him. And he displays so many of those wonderful leadership qualities. And there's no doubt why he is successful. And you got some good advice from him about starting from the bottom up, mastering and knowing your industry, and then moving forward with what you've learned through hard work. So I want to talk about another one of my 7 principles of leadership. And it's going to be a little bit related to the whole mindset of the hard work part of it. Now, we know as leaders, we don't want to be stuck working in our business. We want to be able to work on our business, do the bigger picture things, and not be stuck in the daily grind of the operations, not be stuck in the daily grind of having to complete every project and task or work just hand in hand with the actual product side of things. We need to be able to look up at the bigger picture. So I want to talk about when to roll up your sleeves. And I'm going to give you a little example. Back from my law enforcement days, I had been a sergeant for just a little while, and I was back on midnight shift. And midnight shift usually has a lot of the lull in the action. There's not a whole lot going on, but it also has, when something happens, it's usually one of the bigger deals, a bigger fight, a domestic violence, more of the high-scale warrants and things like that. And one night in a hotel, we had a violent incident, and it appeared that there was some type of domestic violence. Maybe there was some possible hostage type thing. They weren't answering the door. Multiple officers, multiple phone calls, started getting amped up a little bit. Finally, the people open the door. We go inside, and we are looking to immediately protect physical harm, save some lives. And so as we get into the hotel room, we're looking around, and there's a highly agitated man standing there. He's large stature, 6'3", 6'4", large stature man. It's not going to be fun to have to put our hands on if he wants to resist. And there's 3 or 4 officers. There's a terrified woman inside. The man starts amping up. We're searching for evidence to make sure a crime has or has been not committed, or if it's just a bunch of 911 calls and a verbal argument. So as it goes on, we determine, yes, a domestic violence assault has occurred, and this guy's going to go to jail. I'm just the sergeant that had responded to watch my 3 or 4 officers work, and all of a sudden this guy gets amputated, and it's one of those moments of, do our officers just go ahead and put hands on, possibly escalate this into a fight? Even though he is going to jail, we have to arrest him, or are we going to get compliance and keep trying to talk into compliance? When does talking cease, and when does action need to take place? And that's a whole nother dichotomy of a story for another time. But it comes to the point where our officer goes to put hands on him, kind of grabs his wrist and says, "Sir, you are going to go to jail. You need to put your hand behind." And the guy stiffens up. So that's the first sign. Whole lot of dynamics into it, but it is time to get this guy in handcuffs. So he begins to resist just a little bit, doesn't want to be put in handcuffs, starts backing around in circles, going deeper into the room. Who knows if there's weapons or something dangerous in there. And I just realized that I need to step in. I need to take control of the situation and show the guys that it's okay, because sometimes just a supervisor being present makes people kind of second guess themselves and make sure that the supervisor approves. So there's another note about micromanaging that we could throw in there as well. So eventually I grab a hold of the guy, say, "Sir, you're under arrest, put your hands behind your back." We make the movement. As soon as the first handcuff goes on, he starts bucking and fighting. So I take him to the ground, have my guys grab him. I direct their positions into how to best maintain him. No injury, nothing. We get the guy in handcuffs, and now he's just yelling and kicking and fighting as far as resisting, not trying to hurt us. He refuses to walk. He says, "You're going to have to drag me to jail. I'm not going with you." Okay, so this is an interesting situation. So now we all look at each other and say, "Guys, let's go." I pick him up by his belt strap and his handcuffs. So you 2 grab his legs, you 2 grab his shoulders, and we literally carry him out and carry him down the stairs. And finally, when we're going down the stairs, that made him uncomfortable, right, in case we dropped him, which we didn't. And so he said, fine, I'll walk. He finally puts his feet down, realizes that we're serious, that we went hands-on. He's overwhelmed. He committed the crime. He's going to go to jail and have to face his actions. And he finally gains compliance halfway down the staircase and walks and gets seated into the vehicle. And the ultimate crisis was averted. So the main thing is that had I not led the way and put my hands on the guy first and put my hands into there, rolled up my sleeves, a lot of sergeants, a lot of captains historically would just stand back and watch, because if there's a use of force report, some reporting that has to happen, they're the ones supposed to approve the report. If they're involved, it has to go to the next level. And now you have to bother up your chain of command, which is generally frowned upon. Everybody after the incident was like, wow, we were kind of in that weird, awkward spot. We didn't know exactly what to do. Thank you, Sergeant, for stepping in. And a couple of guys gave me thanks for it. And they realized when to cross the threshold appropriately and legally, and when to take control, and how to handle things when you have a literal suspect that wants to be dragged across the floor. Well, you can't just drag people across the floor. So there's a lot of learning in the minutia there. But the opportunity for me to demonstrate leadership by example, roll up my sleeves, and go get this guy under this circumstance paid dividends for both trust and loyalty and realization that this sergeant's willing to get in there and actually get in a fight along beside us if necessary. And I don't say this to toot my own horn. I say this that if you enjoy law enforcement stories, or if you enjoy leadership, that there is a whole host of things that occurred in that moment, and maybe you can draw out some of those other examples on your own. But I want to dispel one of the common leadership myths, is that it's all about giving orders from a distance and delegation is king. Delegation is super important, but you can't just give orders from a distance all the time. There has to be a relationship, there has to be trust, there has to be loyalty, and high-level leadership can't just be the, quote, ivory tower who barks down commands from on high. There has to be a lowering of yourself into the positions where you can serve your best. Leading by example is the best way to do that. Whether you're an accounting firm like I am now, and during business season, you just grab some of those tax return projects and you start cranking them out for a couple hours a day along beside your people. They look and say, this guy's taking our workload. This guy's the owner of the company, and he's helping us do that. Those little things go forever. Now, should I be doing tax returns every minute of every day? No, I have to run the company for their benefit as well. But for me to roll up my sleeves and get into the trenches is absolutely paramount. The whole story of Henry VIII and how they breached the wall and how he led his troops on that French attack to ultimate success is a wonderful, wonderful example of him standing up out of the trench saying, hey, into the breach once more. And they charge, and they eventually win the day. He was able to get his hands dirty, get to the front lines, and lead the charge. We need to do that a lot of times. And that is a powerful leadership example for us to go, that we are showing them and not just telling them, not just barking orders. Yes, most of them trust that we've probably been there. We've probably done that. We probably have a base of experience that we're relying upon, but it does need to be demonstrated every now and again. This ultimately builds trust and cohesion. If you can build trust and cohesion by getting shoulder to shoulder with people, that's the best way to do it. The best way to build camaraderie is to have people share in suffering. Now, suffering doesn't have to be this intense suffering, but it can be the grind, the mundane, or the difficult, chaotic period, and we all get through it together. That's a huge way to build trust. So there's another way to do that as well, is that, as a SWAT team leader, I had to get down and I had to brief and plan and execute the missions, again, from a step back perspective, and let my teams get it. We came into a very complex scenario one time where we just needed extra bodies. Instead of me sitting on the corner of the property watching everything unfold, these people were going to be sitting there. We got some guys sitting there in a difficult spot for a prolonged period of time. That's not that safe. Are they going to free up a backup officer to come over and help them clear the area? Sure. But instead, I was able to step up, help them clear a couple of the rooms, make sure all the dangers, and then I could step back out of my role. And just keeping them out of that pause, that dangerous scenario where you are sitting there lulling the action and pushing them through that let them know that, hey, Sarge is not going to just get here and watch us suffer, watch us clunk through things. He can create the smoothness and the efficiency of the operation that we need to have ultimate success. So guys, whether it's SWAT, whether it's patrol officer, whether it's an accounting firm, whether it's a hotel, and you need to come work the front desk for a couple of hours because somebody's sick or somebody didn't show up today, or there was a way that you need to fill in the gap, go work the front desk. Go do some tax returns. Go clear that extra room with your team. Do what it takes to roll up your sleeves from time to time. The impact on morale, not just trust and cohesion with how you function as a group, but the impact on morale is huge. It boosts morale because now you won the day, you won the mission, you won the project, or the chaotic season is over, and everyone is happy and relieved, and there's a W, there's a win that came along with everything. That is a huge boost to morale, and you make memories, and you get emotional connections, and the feeling of the place just elevates. So the last thing I want you to start to understand is that understanding these challenges firsthand is very important. You have to be aware and you have to be regulating your people. You can't let them suck you in all the time and use you as the easy button where they push an easy button and you show up and quote unquote roll up your sleeves and get the job done. You have to teach them where to find the answers, teach them the skills to get the job done, and sometimes demonstrate the skills and show them that yes, the boss still can do it. Guess what? I'm actually not the fastest person at doing tax returns, nor should I be. Can I do them? Yes. Will I do them efficiently and correctly? Yes. But I can probably do 3 in the time my tax preparers can do 4 or 5. So they're more efficient, but I'm an aide. And you have to understand that you're just there to relieve the pressure. You're just there to operate alongside them for a brief window to boost morale, to boost productivity, and get a balance back in place. So there's a big balance question here between leadership and execution of operations. If you feel yourself getting sucked into operations for too long that you can't concentrate on your 50,000-foot view, then you need to back off, redelegate. You've done your rolling up of the sleeves, and you need to reassess. It's okay to be busy. It's okay to sprint for a little while, but you need to keep that balance on the bigger picture. If you get sucked down into the mundane, it's very hard to get trapped there. And it's okay to give yourself time away from that and put the pressure back on your people. Remember, ultimately, pressure forges diamonds, but you got to have a whole host of the right minerals and compounds around it for that pressure to create diamonds. If pressure is there just for the sake of pressure, it usually causes fractures and things to crumble. We don't want that. We want the right type of pressure with the right ingredients to create diamonds. And you are allowed to put pressure on your people with the right ingredients. So the other thing that allows you to do this is staying connected with your team. You got to go down, you got to rub shoulders with them, rub elbows, so to speak. You got to ask them about their families, ask them about their weekends, and learn them. Work along beside them by rolling up your sleeves, and you'll have a lot more success in these endeavors. So I'm going to end the night right here, challenging you to go roll up the sleeves a little bit. Don't get trapped in operations, and just remember that on the show Pivotal Change, we're here to make you more successful. So I'm your host, Ryan Conn, CS Business Consulting, and the TV show Pivotal Change. I want you to go out there in the world, and I want you to see the change, and I want you to be the change. And we'll catch you next time right here on Pivotal Change.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.